Hi, Timothy Carlson here. I love music, so it stands to reason I love music biopics. And recently we got a biopic on one of the most influential musicians of all time, Bob Dylan. That has finally arrived on 4K Ultra High Def, and that's what we're looking at today. This is A Complete Unknown, starring Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. I'm going to unbox this release and share my opinions. Nice close-up there of Chalamet as Dylan. Got a list of the cast there as well. Here's our spine text. Back cover. There is a Movies Anywhere digital code of the film included. We get a 4K disc of the film, and then we also get a Blu-ray disc of the film, which includes some modest bonus features. New York, 1961. Against the backdrop of a vibrant music scene and tumultuous cultural upheaval, an unknown 19-year-old named Bob Dylan from Minnesota arrives in Greenwich Village with his guitar and revolutionary talent, destined to change the course of American music. As he forms his most intimate relationships during his rise to fame, he grows restless with the folk movement and, refusing to be defined, makes a controversial choice that culturally reverberates worldwide. I'm not going to deny I'm not the world's biggest Bob Dylan fan. I'm certainly aware of several of the guy's hits and do own several of his albums. He wrote so many songs. I mean, according to the epilogue at the end of the movie, he's put out 55 albums. That's a staggering number. I mean, how many artists out there are there that put out that many? Not too many, I'll bet. And of course, Dylan in the film is portrayed by actor Timothée Chalamet. This young man's really been up and coming the last few years, and he's great in almost anything you put him in, from a teen comedy to a more dramatic role to sci-fi to right here playing one of the most influential musicians of all time. And of course, he's not on his own here. There's a great supporting cast, including the likes of Elle Fanning portraying his lover, who he grows distance from, Monica Barbero portraying Joan Baez, who he becomes infatuated with, Ed Norton portraying Pete Seeger, one of his influences, and a man who becomes a very close friend, and Boyd Holbrook portraying famed country singer-songwriter Johnny Cash. James Mangold, who directed this film, had previously directed the Johnny Cash biopic Walk the Line, which starred Joaquin Phoenix as Cash. No word if Mangold asked Phoenix to reprise the role here, although Boyd Holbrook certainly does a very good role in the scenes that he shares with Chalamet. The film depicts a relatively limited window of time in Bob Dylan's life, from his arrival in Greenwich Village to a folk festival performance where, of course, he plugs in, plays electric, and makes everyone very mad because everything is completely unaccepted. Of course, the joke would be on all of the people that were booing him, because his first electric album, Highway 61 Revisited, is now revered as one of the greatest rock folk albums of all time. Production values are top-notch as well, and the movie really does take us back in time to that early 1960s period, back before the whole hippie counterculture movement broke out. It's fantastically produced, fantastically acted. Production values are top-notch, and you really couldn't ask for a better cast here. It's an all-around great movie, and probably my only complaint is, again, it only covers a limited amount of time in Bob Dylan's life, so we don't get to see him recording a lot of his later hits, the birth of his son Jacob, or the formation of the Traveling Wilburys. But it would be very cool if Mangold would direct a sequel and bring back Chalamet and depict some of those later episodes of Dylan's life. I'd be first in line to see that movie. I'm happy to say the picture quality on this 4K Ultra High Def disc is very good. This is shot to have a very nostalgic look to it, again, because it was set in like the early through mid 60s, back at the peak of that folk rock movement. And what we get here reflects the cinematography choices very well. It feels very natural. It doesn't look like there was any unwanted noise reduction or digital tinkering. The movie looks the way it should. Fans who saw this movie in theaters, I don't think, are going to be too disappointed. Supplement package is sadly a little small. We do have a commentary track from director James Mangold, and then we also have a fairly short multi-part featurette that appears on the Blu-ray disc, kind of the standard EPK type stuff. I do wish there was maybe a little bit more here as far as supplements go, but the movie itself and the transfer on here are top-notch, and I can give this one a very high recommendation to anyone that's a fan of Bob Dylan or music biopics in general. How about you? Did you have a chance to see A Complete Unknown yet? What did you think of Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos, and make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Timothy Carlson. See you next time.